As President of Parliament, I've never experienced such an atmosphere in the building, he said. It's quite understandable and logical. Britain's decision last Friday, he added, will certainly change the character of the European Union, and it will definitely change the character of the United Kingdom. Schulz also urged the UK to speedily invoke Article 15 to hasten its exit from the EU and to keep uncertainty to a minimum.
Scotland voted to remain in the EU, and Scottish MEP Alan Smith urged those inside the European Parliament to stand by his country following the dramatic Brexit result.
I represent Scotland within this House, and where I'm proudly Scottish, I'm also proudly European. The people of Scotland, along with the people of Northern Ireland and the people of London, and lots of people in Wales and England also, voted to remain within our family of nations. Scotland did not let you down. Please, I beg you, chers collègues, do not let Scotland down now.
Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon has vowed to do all she can to keep the country inside the Union.
Scotland spoke clearly for Remain, and I'm determined Scotland's voice will be heard, First Minister Nicola Sturgeon has told Holyrood. She asked the Scottish Parliament for a mandate to explore every option to maintain Scotland's involvement in the EU, but said independence from the UK would not be the first task in hand.
While I believe that independence is the best option for Scotland, it is not my starting point in these discussions. My starting point is to protect Scotland's interests and to protect our relationship with the EU. Our early priority has been to ensure that there is a widespread awareness across Europe of Scotland's different choice in the referendum and of our aspiration to stay in the European Union.
Sturgeon said she would also listen to and seek to address the concerns of the 38% of Scottish voters who opted to leave the EU. She'll meet the President of the European Parliament and other officials in Brussels on Wednesday to directly outline Scotland's position to the Commission.
The Saltire was once again flying above buildings as the Scots took part in their second referendum in the space of almost 2 years. On June the 23rd, voters joined the rest of the United Kingdom, of which they have been a part for 3 centuries, in placing their vote in the European Union referendum. The Scots bucked the overall result, which showed the UK voting to leave. 62% in Scotland voted to remain within the bloc, while just 38% wanted to leave. The vote was divided within areas of the rest of the UK. The size of the majority and the fact it flew in the face of the rest of the UK left the Scots in a difficult position. The next day, EU flags were waved by demonstrators outside the Scottish Parliament who want to remain in the EU. It was a sentiment which was echoed by the nation's First Minister, who had campaigned to stay in the bloc.
As First Minister of Scotland, I have a duty to respond not just to the outcome across the UK, but also and in particular to the democratic decision taken by the people of Scotland. As things stand, Scotland faces the prospect of being taken out of the EU against our will. I regard that as democratically unacceptable.
And most commentators knew what was coming next. 24 hours later, at a second referendum to break away from the UK and create an independent Scotland was put firmly on the agenda.
A second independence referendum is clearly an option that requires to be on the table, and it is very much on the table.
It was almost 2 years ago that the Scots voted by 55% to 45% against independence. In the lead up to that referendum, one of the arguments to remain part of the UK was its membership of the European Union. Last week's referendum result has altered perceptions. One survey showed that while nearly 45% of Scots, against 42%, do not want to go to the polls again, if they did, then a majority, 47%, would back independence.
I don't want another referendum. I'm sick of referendums. But having said that, if we did get another referendum, I might vote for Scottish independence next time round.
The The leader of the Scottish Conservatives warned that you do not dampen the shockwaves of one referendum by lighting the fuse of another. Should Scotland press to go to the polls again, there will be a complex legal procedure to go through first.